Tocci.
And I'm Ryan Tocci. Thing of it is, we really did have everything, didn't we? I mean, when you think about it.
That is truly a wonderful moment in Don't Look Up. But that is the last time I'm going to talk positively about this movie this entire podcast.
Oh man, shots fired at Adam McKay and Don't Look Up.
Just a little bit.
Hey Lauren.
Yeah?
Merry Academy Awards week.
Thank you!
Woo.
My favorite week of the year. Celebration of film, a year in the making.
Put up your stocking and are you gonna on Saturday night, are you gonna put out a glass of champagne and some caviar for the great Oscar to come then overnight?
Honestly, I'm really hoping we make that the new tradition.
Yes.
The award show doesn't come
Instead
with
of some Christmas tunes, we'll just be playing some old movie scores and whatnot.
Like the score to Wings, the first Academy Awards.
Yeah. So this is your week.
Yes.
This is what you look forward to. We have to dedicate an entire episode about Oscars just because you have to fulfill that. I mean, you're on like shows this week.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be doing something with Arts Quest this week and doing an Oscar show there. Like, you're all over the place with this.
Well, this is just, to me, like, it's the best week of the year. So the theme that they're going with for this year's Academy Awards is Movie Lovers Unite. And to me, it's like the best Oscars theme they could have picked. If you're not aware, they do pick a theme every year, and this happens to be the theme. And like, to me, it's the most exciting week because these are movies that we have watched all year long or in a rush, like once the nominations come out. And it's just such a fun night. I love things that are big event moments. And this, because they are returning to the Dolby Theater, there are hosts back involved. There are going to be live musical performances. Like, this is setting up to feel pretty epic, I think, because of the contrast to last year's show.
So you want to return to form here.
Yes. So I miss the not having a host. Now, I am all day a fan of Regina King's walk-in last year at the beginning of the ceremony, but I want to host. I think you need that tie together. It's such like an important tradition in Oscars, particularly once it became a live telecast, for there to be a host, Bob Hope and, Billy Crystal and Jimmy Kimmel. I think Jimmy Kimmel is actually a phenomenal host. Chris Rock was fantastic. Like, I think there's something about this, particularly comedic actresses being the ones, and obviously, Wanda Sykes and Amy Schumer are both stand-up comics. I think it has the recipe to be something really fun. And I think going from what last year was, which was cobbled together based upon safety regulations, I think an unsuccessful attempt to make the night like a movie. I'm putting big quotation marks around that.
I think last year on our wrap-up show, we started off by saying, like, Regina King came out, she was awesome, and then everything went downhill after that.
And then the thud at the end.
And we're talking about it from, well, yeah, I was going to say, we were talking about it from a show standpoint, yes. Not necessarily the awards, but yeah, I think both the awards and the show landed with a thud at the end last year.
Well, and I think the producer of the show this year, and I haven't listened to it, but there's an interview where he apparently makes a decent justification. It's an interview he did with Vanity Fair as to why they're not presenting all of the awards. I don't agree with it at all. I haven't listened to his justification yet, but he really does seem committed to, let's get this back to being a show, like a big spectacle. They are in all of the commercials. If you're someone who still has cable TV, they are billing this as the biggest Oscars opening in history. I don't know what they've got planned, but like, I'm just imagining somehow like Lin-Manuel Miranda parachuting in, like
the spiders coming up the East Coast.
This is a happy and peaceable time. Why are you bringing that up?
Do you like the three hosts?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm really excited for it.
I find them to be a strange pick in contrast to what you're saying.
But that's what I like about it. I don't know if you've watched any of the promo videos with them. They have Regina Hall, Wanda Sykes, and Amy Schumer
I just want to say, I think Regina Hall is fantastic. I think she's hilarious.
Child, we know you think Regina Hall's fantastic.
Why could we not just have her? I find Wanda Sykes very funny, and Amy Schumer is obviously very talented. So, yeah. No, I'm very interested to see what they do with them. I just find them to be an interesting choice with this kind of return to old Hollywood type vibe that I feel like that they're trying to set us up for.
So I think, though, there's a marriage that's happening here, and maybe I'm going to be completely wrong, but I think what they're trying to do is say, let's get back to when the Oscars and the telecast really felt like 46 million people are going to watch this energy. And let's also signal, though, but it's going to be done differently. And I think the fact that you have 3 very well-known, powerful women in Hollywood that are going to be the ones who are ushering this new era in, I think it's going to be pretty spectacular. And I like that their energies are very different.
They are very different. And I agree with you there.
Listen, maybe I'm going to be eating these words, but I don't know. I think it's setting up to be something really special. I'm excited for it.
That's cool. I mean, I think you're that kid that's always so hopeful.
I'm Charlie Brown with the football. I'm like a Bills fan at the start of the season.
Why? Why are you taking shots at me?
You brought up the Spiders. I'm bringing in the Bills.
As I just want to talk about the 13 seconds between them talking about the best actor last year.
Oh, why now? Why you gotta do
going
that?
out of yeah. No, I think it's gonna be. I'm excited for it. Do you wish that when they do this show that it's more of a celebration of film? Do you think it should just be, hey, it's an award show, whoever shows up to watches? What do you, when you sit down, what exactly do you think they should be doing?
Lots of montages make me cry.
Okay.
So one of the things I
thought...
But
you're the person, though, that would sit there for 6.5 hours.
100%.
It's long, So,
yeah, just keep showing me movie clips.
Right. You get disappointed when everybody else is like, this has gone too long. You're upset. It's ending.
Yes.
All right.
So it's interesting. So Vanity Fair does something every year where they look back at the Oscars 20 years prior. And I was listening to something where they were talking about the 2002 Oscars. So the 2002 Oscars ran 4 hours and 23 minutes. And a lot of that was because they included, there was like a Cirque du Soleil performance, and they included a lot of montages and all live musical performances, like really like a jam-packed Oscars. I think that year was hosted by Whoopi Goldberg. And I think the reason I love the montage so much is because a lot of times they will do things that are from popular cinema outside of the nominees. And one of the things that they've been really promoting is two fan write-in things on Twitter and online. And one is the fan favorite film, and then the best movie moment. And what I like about this lead up is it suggests perhaps if we're calling this movie Lovers Unite, there's going to be some sense of, whether through clips or references or presenters, can we bring all movie fans to the table, not just the movie fans that are invested in this because it's the Oscars, or the age bracket that can see and access these films outside of the animated feature. Is there a way to kind of bring this all? And I think the fact that they're already saying this will be the first live performance of We Don't Talk About Bruno, that's to me an impetus to tune in.
Yeah, you're right. Do you I know we want to get to our categories. We want to talk about them. We're going to have fun talking about who we're going to think is going to win. But I get frustrated when I hear all of this, because to me, stop just trying, you have to understand what's happening. And I feel like the Oscars need to stop trying to play to a fan base that's not there. Just play to the fan base that is there. We live in a time where everything is so quick and so fast. You're not all of a sudden, the 18 to 27-year-old, demographic isn't all of a sudden going to tune in because, we had a fan vote of what was the favorite picture of the year.
So here's the thing. This is how you pull people in. You say Zendaya and Tom Holland are going to get married on the Oscar stage. And he's going to be dressed up like Spider-Man, and she's going to do a Euphoria interpretive dance. That's how you get butts in the seats.
Fair.
I don't disagree with you. I think there's that fine line between pandering to an audience that doesn't really want you and also serving the fan base that's there. I think the thing that I would love to see is a return to the spectacle and giving people a reason to tune in. Look, you can't manufacture a great Oscars moment. You can't predict a wonderful speech. You can't predict a blunder with the best picture being announced. You can't predict some guy streaking across the stage. But if you give people a reason to tune in, like these little things, and then when something like that happens, you give people further reason to kind of keep tuning in. So to me, what I'd love to see is like, not dissimilar to, look, I love football, but let's be honest, I couldn't name 10 people on each of the teams that were playing this past year, but I tuned in because it's event television. To me, that's what I want to see. Give people a reason to go, I'm going to tune in Sunday night. And I think that's getting harder because I think a lot of us are cutting the ties with cable for good reasons. So as much as I do and I'm on your side, pander to the Oscars fan.
Yeah.
Show me a clip of Wings. Come on, show me a Casablanca. I want to see Tom Hanks accepting for Philadelphia. Give me the things. Denzel pointing to Sidney Poitier. Oh man, they're gonna do a Sidney Poitier thing, and I'm gonna cry my eyes out this year.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. You will cry. You will laugh. You will enjoy. You will have a complete evening. I have no doubt.
Let's just hope at the end that I'm not threatening to burn the house down.
Quick question before we do maybe don't look up. I'm a little worried, but do we have any that we need to worry about the house getting burned down this year like we did last year?
No, as I have said to multiple people, and I think they think I'm ridiculous because I have legitimately said this sentence. They can't hurt me like they did last year. I have said that to students and colleagues and friends and family.
You know what? As a sports fan, I feel that, and you know what? I think there's no better way to move into our category
I just want to say,
that sentiment.
Chadwick Boseman not winning last year was my Four Falls of Buffalo.
No one hurts us more than the ones that we love, right? Okay.
So let's talk about the first category we thought we would deal with would be the actress in a supporting role. So this year the nominees are Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Dame Judi Dench for Belfast, Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog, and Anjanae Ellis for King Richard.
I think, and I just want to quick say this before we get into all the categories, so just so everybody understands, and it's going to also talk about, one, how dorky we are, and also how prepared we are. Every film we talk about today we have seen. So
yes.
We have seen all the best pictures, we've seen all of the acting categories. I think we've seen almost all of the writing categories as well, with the exception of one, which I think we're going to maybe watch tonight.
Take care of tonight.
Yeah. But so we are up to date on all of these categories. But yeah, this is an interesting category. I think this is the thing we talked, like, it's very open this year in all of these.
Yep.
So I think that's the very exciting thing. I think this one has a clear leader, and I think we both are going to feel that it should be. So should we just say that right off the bat?
Yes, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story.
Agreed, Ariana
both
DeBose
should win and probably will
Absolutely.
win. Yeah.
This might be my burning down that she doesn't win. She is phenomenal.
Transcendent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just we talk about that when you see an actor or an actress on screen that just you want to see them the entire time. This is, Heath Ledger as the Joker, where yep. At times I don't care about the leads or anybody else because I just want to see this character, this actress the entire time.
And the thing is, it's a credit to her performance. It's no shade to any of the other actors in the film, but it was a performance of a character who has been revived 1,000 times on stage productions, but she brought something new to it. There was a sense of vibrancy and a sense of like really existing within inside that character. And you're right, she is an actress, and we've seen her in other things as well. You cannot take your eyes off of her when she performs. She has that thing. It's intangible and special, and she has it. And to me, I want to see her win this award because she deserves it for this performance, because she's incredible. But I also want to see it because I want the world to signal she's the next go-to.
Oh,
she's going to be the person. She is going to be the person that is going to keep getting nominated, because I think she's got and maybe I will be dead wrong, but I don't think I am. I think she has a fruitful and luscious career ahead of her.
I'm 100% with you. I always, for the longest time, I would just call her the Bullet from Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where, she starts to get her notoriety from, but this has made her a star. When she walks into any scene, you know that this character is the wisest, smartest, most powerful character that's there. Like, she just takes over.
And what she does, and we're going to go very spoiler light in case you plan on watching these films, but I will say, what she does in the final act as Anita, I think can play in a way that's harsh, but she doesn't. You go, I get it, Anita. Like, I get why you did everything that you did. Mm-hmm. And she's incredible. She's so, I cannot say, I'd say she's my, hands down, my favorite performance this year, in all of the categories, but yeah, I 100%. And I think it is, the wins are trending in her favor.
So we start out right off on a bang here, saying who we want to win, who we think's going to win. And I agree with you. I think the wins are blowing in that direction at this point. A couple people that before we talk about the others here, a couple maybe snubs. Ruth Negga, Passing.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Cate Blanchett, Nightmare Alley, maybe.
She, big Bette Davis energy. And I think Nightmare Alley is a weird film in that I think it's something on a rewatch you and I are going to appreciate even more. I think it's got a really sinking middle section.
I'd like to touch upon it a little bit more when we get to Best Picture.
That's fair. But that's a snub. I don't think it's snub.
I mean, I think this one is I don't think in some of the categories we have more. Snub will be an interesting term, which we'll talk about a little bit more when we get into some of the other categories, but I think they probably, for the most part, got this right.
Yeah.
With their 4. So what do we... Jessie Buckley, Lost Daughter.
She's great. We're
huge Jessie Buckley fans in this household. Absolutely want to see her in everything. Even the films we don't necessarily love that she's in. She is great in. I will be one that will say this is one of those movies.
I know.
You and I have a little bit of a different feeling on The Lost Daughter. And I am not a fan of the film, but I can't dismiss the performances. And again, she knocks it out of the park. She brings something, an energy into that movie that's really interesting that I don't think we see most times with that type of character.
Yeah, and for the other actresses in the script, I mean, Judi Dench always knocking it out of the park. I mean, she's Dame Judi Dench for a reason,
right.
and you can't deny like what she does in Belfast. I hate using this term because it was used towards someone else, and we kind of mock it sometimes, but like really kind of like a heart center of the film in a lot of ways. Like, and I love Judi Dench's portrayal, and Kirsten Dunst is incredible in the
Judi Dench. I just want to say though is giving you that, every year we get that funny grandma.
I'm
nominee.
Here for the trend of fun grandma being in every Oscars film. Kirsten Dunst is great in The Power of the Dog. Anjana Ellis there's a scene, and it's going to be her Oscars clip for King Richard that is just incredible.
So, okay, I think Kirsten Dunst, I think all of these actresses are great, but I have to ask, if there's a wild card, somebody to upset Ariana DeBose, who would you pick?
Oh, I hate that question, because they're all great. Maybe Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog. That piano scene's real hard. It's very anxiety-inducing.
There's an argument to be made for all 4. I would probably lead towards Kirsten Dunst myself. I was surprised with that performance, how good it was, how nuanced it was.
Yeah, that's a sneaky movie, and we'll talk about it with Best Picture. It's a sneaky movie in that way.
Yeah.
So with that, let's go to actor in a supporting role. So for this, we have Ciarán Hinds for Belfast, Troy Kotsur for Coda, Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog. Who is your pick?
Well, let me talk about, what do we think snubs here? Mike Feist, West Side Story, probably.
Yes.
And then probably maybe Bradley Cooper is probably the big one for Licorice Pizza. And Jared Leto for House of Gucci.
Okay. Between I want to soar like a pigeon and how batshit crazy Bradley Cooper is, I think the only thing I'm disappointed by them not getting nominated is that we won't get clips of that throughout the Oscars. Yeah.
And this is one where I think I could switch out some people.
I have one.
It's nothing against anybody that's necessarily in it, although it sounds like you're coming. All right, Lauren comes in hot. We've talked about this.
This is why I don't win the Oscars bet any year.
Yeah, Lauren's always coming in hot here. I would probably try to find space for at least Bradley Cooper in here. Who are you taking out?
Cody Smith-McPhee. I'm not impressed. Oh, it's just so terrible. I'm not impressed. Like, and I know it's trending.
It's trending to win.
I know.
He is definitely trending to win. I think maybe that's falling off a little bit. However, I agree with you completely.
Okay.
I would take him out.
You.
I don't necessarily find that I feel like that is a very interestingly written character and directed character. I feel like many different people could have played that part. I don't necessarily think that, no offense to Cody Smith-McPhee, that he brought something so dynamic to it that I couldn't see that flipped out for another actor in that role.
But here's the thing. If you're going to nominate 2 supporting actors from the same film, Daniel Durant from Coda, to me, is the more apt person to be in. Because I think, this is always interesting to me when you have 2 supporting actors from the same film nominated the same year. It's always this weird one. You have to wonder, is this going to split the field? So your people who are here for Power of the Dog is that going to kind of take care of things? With that, I'll say my money of where I think the Academy should put their gold is 100% on Troy Kotsur for Coda. He plays the father in it. It is just to me the most incredible performance. It'll just break you into in the best kind of ways, and I really think it should be him. But I think like if you were gonna do a double nomination for a film, to me that film deserved the attention more. And I also think it's interesting that people aren't really talking about Jesse Plemons, who I think puts in a better performance than Cody Smith-McPhee.
Jesse Plemons, who is sneakily right now one of the really interesting actors in Hollywood.
Landry from Friday Night Lights, guys.
Right. Yeah.
Helped hide a body.
He's good. He gets in with some really phenomenal directors. I think in this role he plays that in a really interesting way. Mm-hmm. It's a quiet role. Mm-hmm. Yes. But there's so much being said by him without speaking. Really interesting. And I feel, I agree with you. J.K. Simmons is just J.K. Simmons. I think he's really good.
He does make a great Fred Mertz.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
He made, William Frawley, I guess is more
I could not, but I could make it, I don't know. I could see Jared Leto. I don't know. Jared Leto's portrayal in House of Gucci is just so interesting. Okay, so Ciarán Hinds?
Kieran Hinds.
I apologize. Belfast?
Phenomenal.
Excellent. I would not take him out. He definitely deserves to be in there. He is very much the glue of that film. Mm-hmm. So that's a very well-deserved nomination. I lean towards what you're saying. I think Troy Kotsur, just in a role that will forever be remembered. Again, spoiler alert, last 10 minutes of that film, he just...
If you're going to watch
something special.
When they get to the pickup truck, just grab a box of tissues. You're going to need them.
He's really, really fantastic. This is a really well-deserved nomination, and I think it's going to be a really well-deserved win. And I'm with you. I want him to win, and I think the trend is... I think he might be overtaking Cody Smith-McPhee to win this.
Which I'd be very happy for. Jesse, you were bringing up how Jesse Plemons is becoming kind of one of those actors where it's like undeniable just like how phenomenal he is. He reminds me in a lot of ways of kind of the trajectory of Philip Seymour Hoffman's career. Like, I think, seems like maybe...
that is a great... I was trying to think of somebody, but you hit the nail on the head.
I appreciate you seeing that too, and although I don't think he'll get recognized for this role, there's going to be one coming up.
His time's coming. Yeah. I agree. The other thing before we move on to the next category, I do want to just say Troy Kotsur is he's the first deaf actor to ever get a nomination for Academy Award. So Marlee Matlin, who actually was his co-star in Coda, she was the first actress. And I think she won.
She did,
right?
Yes.
And then now he's the first actor to get a nomination. So excited. I'm very excited for him. I think I really hope he brings home the gold.
Me too. All right, so let's talk. We're going to move away from acting just for a smidge. We're going to talk best directing. And man, is this a race this year. So We have Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Ryosuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story.
You have a good announcing nominees voice. I feel like the Academy should look to you to do that every year.
I really appreciate you saying that. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, and I've been practicing my whole life.
Okay, so I have to go on my soapbox about this.
Oh,
I know
gosh!
you agree. No! Best Director category. You need to expand the category.
Oh, yeah.
We can't have 5 anymore. No. Not with 10 Best Pictures out there. This category, for a variety of different reasons. 1, for diversity. 2, to kind of coincide with your Best Pictures. And 3, just because there's so much great work being done, it needs to be recognized. We need to expand this category. I believe it needs to go out to 10. I would be even fine with 7 or 8. But you have to expand this category.
Well, and here's the thing. I am not saying any year you have to go pound for pound. There's 10 Best Pictures, there's 10 Best Directors. And that's fair. But at the same time, I agree with you for a variety of reasons, because I know you said it as soon as the nominations came out. Like, that's really cool that Dune directed itself. Like, how is Denis Villeneuve not in this list? And also, there is, historically, directors of color and female directors are historically underrepresented in this category. If you expanded this would help with that. Just like in Best Picture, it's helped with, more popular films being nominated. Now, not every year does that happen. Obviously, Spider-Man No Way Home did not get nominated this year, like we're all hoping. But, like, at the same time, like, yeah, expand it out. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and that's the snub, right? Denis Villeneuve absolutely needs to be in here.
It's kind of absurd to think about the fact that he's...
We talked a lot about Dune after we watched it, and the first thing I had said to you was, I don't think it's a Best Picture because it's a half of a movie. We still need the second part, because if you drop the second part, but I don't think we can dismiss the directing in it. It is a really beautifully done movie. It is amazing. Just, everything, all his work that he does is just, exceptional. He needs to be recognized here. Sion Heder for Coda, I think, also there should have been in this conversation, but that's the real one. If we're putting him in, who are you taking out, though?
Don't make me.
That's fair.
Because
I don't know if I would want to take anybody else out.
I legitimately, when I was thinking about this, because I know we would talk about this both in terms of who we think will win and who we would want to win, and I was like, I'm going to respectfully abstain from picking, because I don't think it... one, if we're expanding it out, I think there's one you missed. Lin-Manuel Miranda for Tick, Tick, Boom. His camera work in it is impeccable. I mean, of course, because he's great at everything. Like, I bet he makes toast better than anyone makes toast. Like, he's just an incredible human being, and a really fantastic directing job. Obviously
Lynn's got to get his EGOT this year, though, for
come on,
for Encanto.
Dos Oreguitas, come on, yes. Do it, Academy. I think it'll happen, but I think in this category that there is no denying that there seems to be a freight train with Jane Campion at the front of it, barreling towards the Oscars, and I think that's who's going to win.
I think there's somebody real close on her heels.
I do too.
A little up-and-coming director by the name of Steven Spielberg.
Look, I will never hide the fact that if it's Spielberg, I'm in. Without a doubt, I think he should win. I think he does something with West Side Story that's really important for the movie musical. I think he directed this like a man on a mission. And if you watch any of the behind the scenes stuff, he seems nervous and excited and as vital as ever. He is literally filming with his iPhone on a spinny chair, like a computer chair, trying to figure out angles. Like, he's inventing and reinventing. For a director at this point in his career to go, no, I'll figure out a new way of doing things. I'm going to shoot this film in a way that feels inside, but also like a spectacle. I mean, the entire gym sequence alone should get him Best Director.
Del Toro said it's that gym sequence, and it was the best filmed scene of the entire year, and it's hard to argue.
Do you know he did that actually in a high school gym? Like, because of course he did.
I mean, I do because of you, but...
Oh, sorry. But, like, of course he did. Of course he figured out a way. I don't know. It's just, it's very... I find this category, I will be pleased with whomever wins. I will say that I'm abstaining, but I think I showed my hand. Obviously, this is a Steven Spielberg household.
So you think Jane Campion wins, but you're rooting for
Yeah, I think Jane
Spielberg.
Campion, everything in this award.
I said champion, a Campion, sorry.
No, I think, you know what, that's a little Freudian slip.
Yeah.
I think she's going to win. I think Jane Campion is going to win. The Power of the Dog, like the quality of the filmmaking, I think it was one of the things that I remarked on first when we walked away from the film. Like, wow, it was just so well directed. Even more than I commented on performance, it was really, which I think I've kind of made clear in how I was talking about Cody Smith-McPhee and Jesse Plemons, but there's something about how she films that's really, I don't even, it felt like very firmly in that kind of Western tradition, big, beautiful landscapes, the lighting's incredible. I don't know. I can't pretend like she doesn't deserve to win.
I mean, it won't now because it's obviously in the, front runner here or somewhat of a front runner here for Oscar Gold, but like, keep saying it's sneaky good. Like, it doesn't feel like it's a type of movie that you should come out and go, wow, I just saw something really, really special, and you get that, which is really a testament to her work there.
I think you and I both thought it was going to be boring, if I can
say
that.
I mean, yeah, that's where I'm trying to avoid it, but
I'm sorry.
No. You're 100% right. I have to ask, and I don't want to sit in this, but I'm going to ask you because when the voting had to be done.
So the voting was already done when she made the comment, and if you're not sure, it's very easy to find out what she said. So I don't think it's not going to affect her, and I don't think it'll dampen her acceptance of the award. I think people are very excited to see Jane Campion get this kind of recognition for this film in particular. So I don't think it will, although again, these are 5 very deserving directors.
Yeah, I mean, Kenneth Branagh in Belfast, so bears his soul.
Such a great film.
I mean, that is just somebody literally putting their heart on film. It's obviously a very personal story. He finds a really nice blend of happiness and fear and humor, as well as just he kind of finds everything. It feels really
universal and specific. There's a way in which I think he portrays and approaches the story of a family that are going to be refugees, a way in which he portrays family and home. We talked about this endlessly in our year in review. It's so beautiful. Obviously, we love West Side Story. We just saw Drive My Car, and it's incredible. It is 3 hours, and it's an investment in time that I think can be intimidating, and also I know I went in believing that the story was something else entirely.
Yeah, I was with you. Yeah, we both were thrown off by what the actual story was.
And also brush up on your checkoff, because it'll make the story more interesting if you understand. It is something that I think is very inside in that way of how the theatrical elements or the story of the theater that's being portrayed really plays into the plot of the film. I don't think you have to have it, but I think if you have it, the experience is a little bit richer. But it's shot beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, I give Hamaguchi so much credit. He really lets his film breathe. I mean, we don't get the opening credits until 45 minutes into the movie.
I forgot about that, yes.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So it's really a testament to a vision, and, having the ability to be really able to just let this story play. And he earns every moment of time, which is really, saying something for a film that long.
And for sequences where you're essentially in a car, there's no spoilers with this, and you're like, well, this is just beautiful. Like, how is he doing this? This night sequence looks incredible. Oh my gosh. Like, and there's so much of that it's just
there's
really
a lot
incredible.
going on for such a subtle film. It's really an interesting movie.
You sit in these rehearsal sequences and you're like, nothing's happening and everything's happening. Like, it's a really great film. And then, of course, there's the licorice pizza of the
every hipster's favorite, PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson.
You know how you know you're a hipster when you start calling him PTA?
You know what? We've talked about Licorice Pizza in our year in review. I love Licorice Pizza. I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I am that guy. Let's just not. This isn't his year.
No.
One of these years will be his year. This is a really interesting movie, but you have to decide for yourself what you want out of it. But he's surrounded by too many other directors here that are a little more deserving at the end of the day.
And I will say, I think in a lot of ways he does things with Licorice Pizza that make him 100% he should be in this conversation. But at the end of this, I think there are 2, maybe 3 directors at the top of this that are really hard to argue that he should overtake any of them. I really do think it's going to be Jane Campion, but I really wouldn't be disappointed if Spielberg takes it.
You and I are on the same page once again.
Yeah.
Spielberg, when that movie was over, I was just like, well, that's a guy that, wanted this film and had, he had been thinking about this and he put everything into it. And that's saying something for a director of his clout.
Yeah. So can we take this back to some acting categories?
Yeah.
So let's go with actor in a leading role. So we've got Javier Bardem for being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith for King Richard, Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth.
So I've been giving you the snubs. The snubs here are Jamie Dornan for Belfast, Bradley Cooper for Nightmare Alley, and Nicolas Cage for Pig. Here's my thing. I'm not sure who we're taking out here to put any of these in. I feel like maybe you're going Jamie Dornan. If you wanted to put somebody in here, everybody knows I'm going Nicolas Cage for Pig. So I don't need to stay there. But this is a good category. Well, I think I probably would take out Javier Bardem. You are much more of a Lucy fan than I am. I enjoyed being the Ricardos very much. But to me, that's Nicolas Cage's spot.
You know what? I definitely see what you're saying with that. I would keep Javier Bardem and I would keep, oh God, this is going to hurt. I would take out Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't like saying this. I'm a Cumber person. So actually there's a snub that I think you missed on that, which is Hidetoshi Nishijima, from Drive My Car. He's the lead actor in that. Fair. I think he should have been in this conversation.
Very, very, very fair.
100%. But also, again, it's really hard the shifting here is hard. I get what you're saying about Javier Bardem. I thought he did a really good job portraying Desi Arnaz. I really loved that film when I watched it. I walked away from it and felt different about a month later. And I don't like saying that.
No, I feel that.
It's a similar... I've had this happen with films before where I'm kind of like, I'm in and I feel good about what I watched and how it was portrayed. And then I walk away and I go, oh, Aaron Sorkin, you did this. Because that happens to me a lot with Aaron Sorkin. So I think Javier Bardem's performance is really solid in this. I think, and again, this is talking about like predictions. And so when we say the way the winds are trending, this is, every publication that's putting out something about Oscar trends. I want to see Will Smith win. And not just because he's Will Smith. He's great in this movie.
He's very
and
good.
I want to see him win.
Very, very good. It would be cool to see him win.
Yes.
I'm hoping. And I agree with you. It feels like it would be that Lifetime Achievement Award, but a deserved for this role. Like,
not like Sandra Bullock for The Blind Side.
Right.
Where you look back and go, really? Right. Did she deserve it for that? This you would at least go, he did.
What are the wins saying? Because I'm thinking Benedict Cumberbatch.
No. Everything is really hot. So no, Javier Bardem's not even in the conversation.
Right. Has Denzel kind of fallen off? I mean,
he has, which is weird. Do we say that about Denzel Washington? Yes. That he's not in the top spot for this?
Can I say why? I think he's
incredible.
Tragedy of Macbeth is a really incredible movie. It's really interesting. I love it. But you start comparing Denzel roles to Denzel roles, right? Like, you're like, oh, but is this the best Denzel role?
Every role is the best Denzel role.
All right, that's all right.
Stop it.
Like, I look at this and go, I can't give him the award for this when we passed him up over Fences a couple years ago.
He should have won for Fences.
Yeah.
But I will say, he's incredible in this. So it seems like things are shifting in favor of Will Smith. My dream scenario is that Will Smith and Andrew Garfield tie. That's never...
I told you last year, you can't root for ties.
Yes, I can. They happen, albeit rarely. No, I think this is Will Smith's year. I think this is going to happen. And yes, there is that element of this is an actor who's been very deserving previously. But I also think that this is reflectively something people will go, but he also deserves it for this film. I think that an acceptance speech is going to be a real tearjerker and filled with incredible energy. In this category of actors, to me, it really comes to 3, and that's Andrew Garfield, Will Smith, and Denzel Washington. But I think Will Smith just has that little extra something to kind of help him overtake this race.
So this is a weird one where I'm going to be kind of rooting against my pick. Because I think Andrew Garfield is the best in this category. I've talked about Tick, Tick, Boom so much. I think he's, again, we talked about it earlier, an actor in this role that I can't take my eyes off. Everything he's doing is interesting and exciting, and you just feel like you're in the moment with him. I believe that he deserves it for this role, and even over all of these other great performances. That being said, Will Smith is great as King Richard, and he's long overdue for an Oscar, and I really hope that what you're saying is true and the winds are blowing and he gets that on that night.
And I will say this, you listen to 5 different prediction podcasts, read 5 different prediction articles, they're all going to say different things.
You should only be listening to one.
Yeah, just
this one.
Follow us at How Could You Podcast on Instagram. But yeah, I think it's going to be Will Smith, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun, which takes us to actress in a leading role.
Which was a category that needed about 15
nominees
this year.
It's a stacked year.
This is such a stacked year.
Yeah. So talk to us about some of our snubs, and then I'll give us our nominees.
All right, so you got Jennifer Hudson for Respect.
Yes.
Lady Gaga, House of Gucci.
Father, son, House of Gucci.
She's probably the one that most people are saying was left out. Alana Haim was definitely in that conversation for Licorice Pizza.
Agreed.
And I'm going to throw it in there. I don't know if there's a lot of people saying it. Amelia Jones. I think if those nominees come out now, she gets a nomination.
Oh, I don't disagree.
I think Coda, and we're going to talk about that in Best Picture very soon, but Amelia Jones in Coda was just, that is a star. What she does in that movie in every aspect is, I wish she was in this conversation. That all being said, these 5 actresses that got nominated, powerhouses.
Oh, so good.
I couldn't even figure out where to sneak somebody else in.
You can't. That's the thing.
It's such a tight, it's a
tight category.
You have, 3?
Oh, yeah.
Oscar winners in this category?
Yes. And that, so the nominees for actress in a leading role are Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. Honestly, excellence upon excellence.
Yeah. Parallel Mothers is the newest film that you and I saw. We just watched it last night. What'd you think?
It's who I want to win.
Whoa! Did not see that coming. Okay, all right.
I walked away from that movie and I went, her all day. I don't think Penelope Cruz is going to win. I think she's the longest of shots for this, because the Academy really, and for good reason, seems enamored by Olivia Colman. This is not Nicole's year for this.
I think if you had the weakest, I don't even say weakest, I think if we had to take one out right now, that would probably, I would agree with you. Nicole Kidman, I love that she's just still putting out great performance upon great performance.
Oh,
yeah. And she's really great as Lucy.
Well,
but I would say, it's probably the weakest of the 5, and that's really trying to bend it as much as I can.
And I think something we can take for granted, like you just said, she's still putting out great performance. Well, yeah, of course, she's Nicole Kidman. She is always going to be a powerhouse. And I think that's the thing. We can sometimes take those actors and actresses for granted because we'll say, it's kind of like us talking about Denzel's performance as Macbeth and going, well, but maybe someone else should win. It's like, no, I mean, like Denzel should win every year out of the gate. And Nicole Kidman kind of similar. I think a few months ago, I would have said this is Kristen Stewart's award to lose. There was so much heat around Spencer and her portrayal. I think, and I don't know if before the film I would have said this, because I would have thought this was honestly that she was put in here because she's wearing 5 pounds of makeup. But Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, I think, has this on the lock.
Yeah.
If I was a betting woman, I'd put money.
You and I were skeptical beyond belief going into that movie.
I legitimately thought, I'm sitting down to watch a Lifetime movie. This is going to be, I'm going to feel like this is a version of this story that's been highly made over and really dumbed down. And then the movie was anything but. And her performance was anything but. But it's the reason, so, and let me go back by saying this. I swear this is not recency bias. I just think Penelope Cruz's performance was incredible. I don't want to say anything about the performance, and here's why. I went in knowing nothing about the movie, except a very short description about where these two characters meet, and that is it. I would say go in really unencumbered by anyone's opinions or thoughts or descriptions of the story. I love her in that movie.
I can tell you that there are mothers, and they are parallel.
Why'd you have to spoil it, Tocci? Yeah.
You called it at one point Hitchcockian.
Yes.
And I couldn't get that out of my head. This was that movie this year that I went, thank you, Oscars, and thank you, Lauren, for getting me to watch all these movies, because I may have missed this one, and I'm really glad I saw it. It was really interesting. And it took me about 20 minutes to find my way. I was not understanding what was the appeal of this movie, and then all of a sudden I was engaged the entire rest of the way.
And it's really, I mean, listen, it's a credit to 1,000 things. The directing, the writing, the pacing of the film, the score is incredible, which is what prompted the Hitchcock comment, but her performance is astounding. So, I mean, I'll ask you, like, who do you think is going to win? I think it's trending Jessica Chastain, but
this is the biggest wild card to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who it's trending to at all. I think you're right. Olivia Colman seems to be an Oscar darling. Mm-hmm. I already talked about The Lost Daughter. I think it's a little, I'm hoping it doesn't go to her. As much as I love Olivia Colman. I think you're right, Jessica Chastain, but I don't know. I think Kristen Stewart takes it home.
Well, so here's the thing Kristen Stewart might have running against her. So the year that Olivia Colman won, what people had assumed was that Glenn Close was going to win for The Wife.
Yeah.
But the reason that it's been discussed after is that, well, the only thing that was nominated from The Wife was Glenn Close's performance. And that's maybe a template to look at why Kristen Stewart might not end up winning, is because it's the only thing not nominated from Spencer.
Not one of these actresses are in a film that was nominated for Best Picture.
Which is weird, because you have some sundry other nominations in makeup, in screenplay, but at that, because and you have another acting category for being the Ricardos. But like, you're right, these are not performances that are coming out of the films that are in conversation for Best Picture, which is weird.
Okay, I agree with you. Weird. What do you think that's telling us?
I think what it's saying is, here's the first point. I think there's maybe some spread the wealth around mentality, but I also think what it tells me is this, that the things that are making those films Best Picture are not necessarily in these categories. That, I think, where we're looking at a lot of these Best Pictures is separate from their acting. I think acting can be a real driving force of something getting nominated for Best Picture, but I think this year that's not the case. These films are getting nominated for a lot of other reasons other than acting.
Yeah, I feel you on that. It's interesting. You said about the Kristen Stewart thing, and it's like, but I guess my argument to that, and not saying it in a, kind of defiant way.
You can be defiant during Oscar season. It's okay.
A movie about Princess Diana should just be about the actress and that role. Like, the rest of the film shouldn't really matter. Did they nail that, the portrayal correctly? And Kristen Stewart, we've been talking about it for years. She is an underrated actress. Yes. This is your moment to go, oh yeah, she can play in the big leagues.
Yeah,
and people need to take notice. I mean, and I think she might steal an Oscar to really, put to her resume.
But here's the thing. I don't think steal. I think well-deserved. Like, I think this is...
Fair. I didn't mean it, in the way that it came across.
I think the thing is like, I think people assume, well, she's famous, so she's not underrated. And it's like, yeah, but if you hear people talk about her performances, there's a little bit of that eye roll Twilight kind of reaction to it, where, you know, I don't think that Robert Pattinson has had to come under such fire with his, like, roles that he's picked. I think she has tried to straddle a line between doing things that are more art house and mainstream since Twilight, and I think that's where sometimes she's come under that criticism, along with some other factors. But this it's uncomfortable at times. It is psychologically damaging to watch, honestly, at points. But I think she'd be very deserving. But I do think I think Jessica Chastain, she makes you feel for Tammy Faye in ways I thought I'd never care to feel for Tammy Faye.
Yeah. I mean, this is, you know, Charlize Theron monster territory, right? Like, it is. Jessica Chastain is been nominated before. She is a highly, you know, sought after and recognized actress, and this might just be her time, and a well-deserved, you know, and I think that's where it goes. I think this category, I think, goes to either Stewart or Chastain to give them their due.
Yeah, 100%.
So we'll see, unless Penelope Cruz sneaks in there.
I wouldn't
that
be
is
upset.
Such a good role.
Be upset. That'd be very exciting. So that takes us to Best Picture, which we've been teasing, I think, some of our thoughts throughout. So the nominees this year are Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story. I don't even know how to begin to talk about this list.
Okay, here's my question, and I think I know what the answer is. Is there a movie that you just want to take out of there immediately, don't think deserves to be in this conversation?
Don't Look Up.
You really dislike it that much, huh?
So here's the thing. I got to the end of it, and I enjoyed myself enough. I went, it's clever, and the end scene in it is really well crafted. And I think it's a really interesting satire, I guess, question mark. I think Adam McKay has done better work. I think he has crafted his commentary about contemporary issues better than this film. And I think before it got nominated for the Oscars, I went, yeah, no, Don't Look Up's good. And then it got nominated for the Oscars, and I went, hold on, let's ease up.
That it changes the conversation on a movie. I agree with you.
Because here's the thing, and I will defend this to the hilt. Spider-Man No Way Home deserves it more than Don't Look Up, and you won't hear me say anything otherwise. That film had to coalesce so many things about fandom and culture and timelines and connectivity and the bringing together of childhoods. That movie had to do so much and did it to sheer perfection. Tell me that movie doesn't deserve to be in this over Don't Look Up.
Tick Tick Boom and Spider-Man should be in there.
Yes.
Over this. I'm 100% with you. Don't Look Up should have. Adam McKay's interesting. He's going to be back. This film felt like he was trying a little too hard. I think they missed their moment, though. It should have been nominated for Best Song.
That is the one thing I will agree. And please understand, if you enjoy Don't Look Up, I think Don't Look Up is an enjoyable movie. I just don't think it's a Best Picture.
Right, we're talking about it, and I'm with you. I think the fact that it's still in this conversation is kind of crazy to me. And at one point, it felt like it was starting to get some momentum.
Yeah.
I feel like that's died off.
I'd make an argument that Encanto deserves to be in the Best Picture conversation over Don't Look Up.
I was thinking about that today, preparing for the show. I was thinking to myself,
doesn't happen often.
It doesn't. I think Beauty and the Beast. Well, I guess since they went to 10, there's been a few more because I think Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3 gone in there.
And there might have been some more that I'm not thinking of. But you're right. But I'm with you. I think Encanto really should be in the conversation.
Okay, so who are you hoping wins Best Picture, and who do you think will win Best Picture?
Here's the funny thing. I'm going to say this really quick. I think Nightmare Alley is a movie we look back on in 15, 20 years that people are still talking about more and more.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be that movie that's just very interesting, that we're still is in that conversation. I also think that Dune, depending on what Part 2 does, is going to be another one of those movies that we might go, oh, okay, we missed it on that year. That all being said, so your question to me is, what do I think should win?
And what do you think will win?
I feel like it's going to be a Power of the Dog night. I think Power of the Dog is going to be the winner. I don't know if I love it as much as we praise the movie.
Oh, no, it's genius. I just don't want it to win Best Picture.
I'm torn here on the movie I want to win and love, and a movie that I think really deserves it, and as this like rooting for, and that is West Side Story. To me, feels like a movie that deserves Best Picture. I watch it. I think it has mass appeal. I feel like it's going to be timeless. The only thing working against it to me is that it's a remake. But I don't. It's still so, you know. It's still very unique in its own right. It still finds a way to be fresh and new. And I think you're going to talk, a lot about that here in a second. In the end, though, I'm taking a long time to get to Coda. Coda's my picture of the year. It was one we saw much later and now it has my heart completely. It is such a wonderful film. I know that there is now such a negative thing coming at it because it's starting to get some momentum, and we live in a time that unfortunately it feels like we can't have nice things, and there's got to be a 50-50 of love and hate out there. And Coda's starting to get that. It's getting this like, oh, it's a Lifetime movie type feel type stuff, and I'm like, no, this is just it's because it's a really just special family, small, quiet, but also speaks such volumes. It's a really just wonderful film, and to me, I would really, really love to see it win on Sunday.
Okay, but you think this is a Power of the Dog night?
I do. I think it just, that movie has Academy all over it.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you about Coda. Here's the thing. I think if the name Frank Capra is attached to this movie, it's the Best Picture without a doubt, because it feels Capra-esque.
This is why you're the Oscar, genius.
I don't know about that.
This is you are the guru, the king. You are an Oscar connoisseur. No, you're right. It's a Capra film. That's why I love it. Yeah. I mean, this is,
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. It's all of that, and that's what I want. In a time that we live in, that's what I want. I want to feel good.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think with Coda is a really hopeful film. And I think because we've gotten so in this trajectory of what an Oscar film is, we take for granted that a hopeful film is sometimes the medicine you need. Like, you don't need the thing with the big powerful moment and the glass shattering. You sometimes just need something that's going to make you feel good at the end. And I agree with you. There's something about, I think Coda has sticking power. You should sit down and watch it with your family. And I think it's something that people will want to revisit because it is so warm. And you've talked about this a lot, and I think it's true. There's an authenticity to this family that is hard not to be totally in love with in that way. And so if Coda wins come Oscars night, I am so pleased. I do agree with you. I think we are trending Power of the Dog. And I'm not unhappy. Like, this is not I'm threatening to do damage to the house here. Like, my personal pick would be West Side Story. There is a way in which Spielberg approaches this project that I just find really inspiring, because I think there is a point in your career where you can start resting on your laurels and people will still come see your films. And he's not doing that. He's inventing, he's being intentional. Like he said from the onset of this project, we are casting Latinx actors to play Latinx parts. And it's ridiculous that you would even need to say that. But the problem is every other version before this, both stage and film, didn't. And he wanted this to feel very much set in its time. But also, unfortunately, a lot of the themes were going to fit for our times too. And he leaned into that in a way that didn't feel overwrought, but felt like a director speaking to us about how to move forward. And honestly, at this stage of my life, I need Spielberg kind of telling me and being that guiding light in the distance of going, this is where you need to go. So West Side Story, although it ends tragically, and I'm not spoiling anything here, you probably know that, I think also in some ways there is a sense of hopefulness that I get from where filmmaking can go from this point forward if West Side Story wins Best Picture or if Coda wins Best Picture. I think The Power of the Dog is going to feel very Oscar-y to people. But those are our picks. I'm just excited for a good show.
It's going to be a great show, and we're going to be back here next week with our a short wrap-up episode on what we thought of all the winners and losers and the whole proceedings of the evening.
And we will record that night, so we will be highly sugared and caffeinated and ready to go. And I hope that I'm not as angry as I was last year. If you're not currently following us on social media, please follow us at How Could You Podcast on Instagram, at How Could You Pod on Twitter. You can always send us suggestions to our email address at howcouldyoupodcast@gmail.com. We have a really exciting show coming up this weekend at Civic Theater on March 26th at 1 p.m. Nostalgia Cinema is bringing you Almost Famous. We are so excited. If you check out our social media pages, you can find the link to buy tickets, or you can buy tickets at the door.
And until next time, movie lovers unite and enjoy the Odyssey.